Hello friends, I am Arpit and I am here with today's analysis. Today is 23rd of August and we are going to deal with three very important topics which are in news. First is the South China Sea tensions. It was witnessed that the Coast Guard of the China and Philippines were indulging in skirmishes with each other. The Chinese Coast Guard vessel was firing water cannons on the Philippines Coast Guard. This portion, that is the South China Sea, has been a hotbed of controversies in the last decade. Mainly, it can be credited to Chinese expansionist tendencies. Other countries definitely are concerned about it, including India. So let's see how this situation unfolds over here. Next is Justice Hema Committee report. This Justice Hema committee was formed by the Kerala government in 2017, submitted its report somewhere around 2020, but this report has been published by the Kerala government 4.5 years after its submission. What is it about? It is simply about the male dominance and sexual harassment in the Kerala film industry by the males. And there have been some disturbing findings in this committee's report. That is why it was delayed for 4.5 years to be published. And the last topic is sexual harassment of women at workplace. It is a related topic with this Justice Hema committee. It is also popularly called as POSH Act. The Supreme Court in 1997 gave Vishakha guidelines and instructed the government to formulate a law on it. Unfortunately, it took 16 years for the government to formulate a law, and hence this sexual harassment of women at workplace bill became an act in the year 2013. This has provisions for safeguarding women working in the organized as well as unorganized sector. But the problem is that their reporting is very low. The awareness is very low. And that is why women keep on suffering, suffering, and suffering. If we are talking about being a developed country by 2047, we need to bring women in the workforce. And we need to keep the workforce safe for them. That is basically the one of the basic requirements as of now. Now let's get started with this South China Sea tensions. Post COVID, there had been many worries. First, there were supply chain, I would say, disruptions. Supply chain disruptions due to lockdowns, supply chain disruptions due to, I would say, uh, non clarity about the rules, regulations of navigation. Then there was a brief, I would say, showdown in the Suez Canal, where an Indian container ship got stuck this way and the entire Suez Canal was blocked. And the South China Sea disputes had been continuing, they are still continuing. South China Sea is basically geographically located in the Southeast Asia. China definitely has a coastline to South China Sea, but other countries like Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, all these countries also have this. So let's see what this issue is, and we will decode how things can be managed over there. The South China Sea dispute. Philippines has accused Chinese Coast Guard vessels of intentionally colliding with its vessels on a resupply mission in a disputed part of South China Sea. That is why it was in news. Water cannons and all were being fired. Now there are four Shah. Four Shah means four sands archipelagos. Are the four island groups in the South China Sea region over which China claims that it has historical rights. These are Dongsha Kwando, Zisha Kundao, Zongsha Kundao, and Nansha Kundao. Internationally, they are known as Pratas Island, Paracel Islands, the Macclesfield Bank area, and the Spratly Islands. China stakes claims to 90% of South China Sea. Why and how? China claims that there is this U-shaped 9-dash line, which was coined by the geographers in the 1940s. Obviously, these geographers were Chinese. So, this 9-dash line has a geopolitical significance. So, what is this 9-dash line? You see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are the 9 dashes. This is China. This is आपका Hong Kong. This is Taiwan over here. This is Philippines. This is Malaysia. This is Vietnam. And this is basically the South China Sea which we are talking about. These are these islands, Paracel Islands, Spratly Islands, like this. Now, China claims that this entire portion within the 9 dash line, this entire portion belongs to China. What about these Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam? Their exclusive economic zone also extends to this area, to this region, doesn't it? Interestingly, Vietnam and Philippines both have filed to the United Nations this year that they want to increase their exclusive economic zone from 200 nautical miles to 250 nautical miles. And that is why they are being in dispute. So it is over here, Philippines, uh, Coast Guard and the Chinese Coast Guard, they are, claiming each other's areas. This is Taiwan. If China keeps on claiming Taiwan, then obviously China will have that logic that from Taiwan, our exclusive economic zone will be counted. So their exclusive economic zone will be much deeper into the South China Sea. So this 9 dash line, this Taiwan makes China's claims, I would say, stronger in the South China Sea. So that is basically the issue, and these countries are facing this over there. The significance of South China Sea. First is maritime trade. Region is one of the busiest sea routes of the world, and more than 60% of the global trade passes through the sea. One of the, I would say, busiest trade route is Strait of Malacca, which is there down south over here, somewhere over here. Strait of Malacca is passing. And through Strait of Malacca, Chinese trade passes a lot. Natural reserves. The region is said to host vast reserves of oil, natural gas, coral lime, silicate, sand, quality gem, natural pearls, etc. etc. Fishing grounds are there, and freedom of navigation has to be ensured in such area because the stakes of many countries all across the world are there because the world trade passes through this. So that has to be, that is basically the significance of South China Sea. The biggest choke points in South China Sea. While the main current tensions between China, Philippines, Taiwan are there, they are the real threat to the South China Sea. But Malacca Strait, that is one of the biggest choke points in the South China Sea, which is down south in the South China Sea. This is the world's busiest trade route. And not only China's, but many countries' trade passes through this, including India's. Last year, 23.7 million barrels of oil and petroleum products were moved through the strait per day. Per day, this much, according to the US Energy Information Administration. This figure was 13% higher than through the Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz is in West Asia. The Malacca Strait is just 64 kilometers wide at its narrowest point and is already vulnerable to congestion and collisions. So, they are already, vulnerabilities with respect to congestion and collision due to this narrowness of the Strait of Malacca. Now, some geopolitics, they predict that, if China goes for taking on Taiwan or claiming too much area in the South China Sea or undue area in the South China Sea, US will take over Strait of Malacca, that strait from where the Chinese trade passes a lot. It is basically pulling the strings on China through the Strait of Malacca. What America has plans to do, and this is basically the prediction of certain geopolitical experts all across the world. So, this is one of the biggest choke points in South China Sea, and obviously, this has to be there because if we have to keep a check on China by somehow, this is basically we can keep a check on China this way. Now, concerns for India. Freedom of navigation. India's trade routes passes through the South China Sea. Indian vessels need to cross them safe and secure to reach the Pacific nations like America and all. America is one of our largest trading partners. So we have a lot of trade with USA, North America. South America also trade is increasing. So all has to pass through this Strait of Malacca and go there. Our trade with Japan is also increasing. So that also has to pass through Strait of Malacca. Our trade with overall ASEAN region is increasing. So that we need, freedom of navigation. Nearly 55% of India's trade with the Indo-Pacific region passes through these waters. Economic interest. India has economic interest in the region's resources and fisheries. ONGC Videsh Limited. This is basically that arm of ONGC which deals in, I would say, foreign contracts or foreign projects and all. Along with Petro Vietnam is exploring for oil reserves in the region, which could help us secure India's energy needs. Then regional stability, tensions can affect the broader Indo-Pacific region, which we don't want. Strategic partnership, India's alliances with affected nations like, with all the ASEAN countries, according to our Act East policy, we have established strategic relations, a wide, I would say, multi-dimensional relations where we have economic partnership, we have technological partnership, and cultural partnership, but we have security cooperation or security partnership compulsorily. Security partnership means we have defense trade with them, we have defense exercises with them, agreements with them. So, according to our strategic partnership, very recently we have given BrahMos missile or supplied BrahMos missile to Philippines. That testifies or that proves that we have strategic relationship. With Malaysia, with the very recent visit of the Malaysian Prime Minister, we have upgraded our relationship to comprehensive strategic partnership. So we have our strategic partners over there in that region. Rule of law, India supports resolving disputes based on international law. Act East policy, South China Sea is part of India's regional engagement strategy. Actually, before Act East policy, there was Look East policy, and in Look East policy, we had to integrate with ASEAN culturally and economically. In Act East policy, we had to integrate with ASEAN, East Asia, Australia and New Zealand culturally, economically, and strategically. So we included that strategic cooperation with that region, keeping in mind China's undue activities in that region. So to give the countries over there confidence that chalo, you have a strategic partner in the form of India. Bilateral relationships, India has partnerships with nations involved in the dispute. So this is how it is of concern for India. Next is Justice Hema Committee report. Now the Kerala High Court has asked the Kerala government to submit the Justice Hema Committee report to the Kerala High Court. Justice Hema Committee report had been submitted to the Kerala government way back in 2019-20. This committee was formed in 2017. The report has been published by the Kerala government now, 4.5 years after that. And after publication of that report, the Kerala High Court has asked the Kerala government to submit that report to the Kerala High Court. Now, what is there in this report? But before that, why was this committee formed? We need to understand this. This was basically formed to, investigate the indictment and discrimination and exploitation faced by women in the Malayalam film industry. So, Kerala is one of those states which has the highest literacy rates. But in that highly literate and aware state also, these kind of issues are happening. There is a lot of harassment against the women in the film industry, in the so-called film industry, which is, said to be or believed to be the trend setter for the society. There, these kind of things are happening. So the background, on February 17, 2017, a leading Malayalam film actress was abducted and sexually assaulted in her car by a group of men. A prominent actor would later be implicated in the case, which sparked outrage across Kerala and brought under the scanner the discriminatory treatment faced by women in the Malayalam film industry. The Women in Cinema Collective, comprising women actors, producers, directors, and technicians, was formed in response to this incident. On May 18, 2017, the Women in Cinema Collective submitted a petition to the Kerala Chief Minister demanding inquiry into this incident which happened on February 17, 2017, and hence the Kerala government formed this three-member committee which was headed by a retired High Court judge, that is Justice K. Hema, to look into issues of sexual harassment and pervasive gender inequality in the Malayalam film industry. Now, what does this report say? That is something which is disturbing. First, there is a culture of sexual harassment which pervades the Malayalam film industry, this report says. Committee reported the existence of casting couch. Casting couch is asking for sexual favors from the females by the males in return of some work in the pictures or in the films. So that is prevalent over there as per the findings of this committee. The fear of retribution prevents sexual harassment from being reported. So Justice Hema writes in the report, many who were examined before the committee were afraid to afraid to reveal things which they experienced. We realized that their fear is well founded. They don't want to disclose. They neither want to disclose their identity, they neither want to disclose what happened with them. Beyond direct retribution, the report also mentions the fear of cyber harassment of those females. If you know they raise their voices, they will face cyber bullying or cyber harassment on the internet, because there are certain fan clubs and all which keep on bullying or cyber threatening these females. An all male mafia of influential actors and producers calls the shots across the industry and wields their power with impunity. So this is their all male mafia, this core group comprising of all males, and they decide who should get the work, who should not get the work. Things like these happen. A male dominated industry has failed to offer even basic facilities to women, including the lack of toilets, changing rooms on the sets where films are being shot. The report says that women staff on film sets continue to remain at the mercy of open spaces or shared bathrooms, often risking urinary tract infections and hospital admissions. Lack of gender parity with respect to remuneration is primarily due to absence of written contracts. So there is no gender parity in terms of pay as well. So these findings are disturbing. And this brings us to our next topic, that is Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace, Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. This was passed by the Parliament of India in 2013, but before that, the Supreme Court in 1997 rolled out Vishaka guidelines, which acted like a law until a law was made by the government. And in 1997, while passing the Vishaka guidelines, the Supreme Court ordered the central government to formulate a law for this. It took only 16 years for the government to form the law after that. Now, according to this law, an aggrieved woman can file a complaint with a committee which is duty bound to complete the inquiry into the complaint within 90 days. So, she has to complete the inquiry within 90 days. The Act also prescribes punishment for non-compliance with its provisions, as well as for filing frivolous complaints. So, if frivolous complaints are filed, then the female will be punished. Now, the Genesis Supreme Court 1997 guidelines, called as the Vishaka guidelines, while hearing pleas filed against the crime, the Supreme Court noted that the absence of any law that guarantee against sexual harassment at workplaces. Apex Court laid down a set of guidelines to fill the statutory vacuum till a law could be enacted. Court drew its guidelines from Article 15 of the Constitution, protection against discrimination on grounds of only religion, race, caste, sex, and place of birth. International conventions and norms such as general recommendations of the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, that is called as CEDAW, which India ratified in 1993. So, from all these, Supreme Court drew its guidelines. The POSH Bill, this law which was enacted in 2013, is popularly known as the POSH Bill. POSH stands for Prevention of Sexual Harassment. It was introduced by Women and Child Development Ministry in 2007. It went through several amendments and came into force on December 9, 2013, after being enacted by the Parliament of India. Now, key provisions of this particular law. First of all, sexual harassment is defined. What is sexual harassment? So, it is basically any unwelcome act such as physical, verbal, non-verbal conduct, a demand or request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, etc., etc. All this is counted as sexual harassment. So there's this proper broad definition of sexual harassment, which includes not only physical but non-physical, I would say, harassment as well. It also lists down 5 circumstances that would constitute sexual harassment. Implied or explicit promise of preferential treatment in employment if sexual favors are given by the females to the males. The males give this kind of condition to the females. Implied or explicit threat of detrimental treatment in employment. If sexual favors are not given, then we will not treat you properly. See what you want to do. It is like this. Implied or explicit threat about present or future employment status. We will fire you. Things like these can happen. Interference with work or creating an intimidating or offensive or hostile work environment for them. Humiliating treatment likely to affect health or safety of the females. And this is what was happening in the Kerala film industry or the Malayalam film industry. So that is something which is disturbing. Then it also defines an employee, because this is about sexual harassment at workplace. So employees face sexual harassment. So who can be considered as an employee? That needs to be taken care of. All women employees, whether employed regularly, temporarily, contractually, or on ad hoc or daily wage basis, all will be counted. Even apprentices or interns can seek redressal to sexual harassment. It also expands the definition of workplace. Workplace is not that only physical premises in which you go for your office. It can be your home also. If you are on a call online and online you face sexual harassment by any of your co-workers, then it will be considered as sexual harassment at workplace. So this needs to be taken care of. Internal complaints committee and local committee. So what if any employee is facing sexual harassment? Where shall that employee go? Now, if the workplace is coming under the formal sector, so then it would be the duty of the employer, means the owner of the company, or I would say the management of the company, to form an internal complaints committee in the company. This internal complaints committee is always there in formal setups, in formal sectors. And a local committee headed by the district collector is there for the informal sector in every district administration headquarters. So this law is for both formal sector and informal sector. It had to be because around 90% of our workforce is in informal sector. Only 10% workforce works in the formal sector. The law requires an employer with more than 10 employees to form an ICC, that is Internal Complaints Committee, where a formal sexual harassment complaint can be filed by a woman. Composition of ICC, it is required to consist of a minimum of 4 members. At least half of them should be women. Presiding officer, who has to be a woman, of this Internal Complaints Committee, employed at a senior level at the workplace. 2 members from amongst the employees and who have had experience in social work or have legal knowledge, and 1 external member from NGOs to preempt any undue pressure from senior levels. Besides, the Act mandates that every district in the country to create a local committee, that is LC, to receive complaints from women working in firms with less than 10 employees and from the informal sector, including domestic workers who are working as house helps and all. What is the role of ICC and LC? These two bodies have to conduct inquiries in line with the POSH Act and comply with the principles of natural justice. So if any person faces sexual harassment at workplace, so she can go to these committees, and these committees will be responsible for inquiring, and they have to complete the inquiry within 90 days as per the law. An inquiry has to be done according to the principles of natural justice. A woman can file a written complaint either to the internal or local complaints committee within 3 to 6 months of sexual harassment incident. There are 2 ways to resolve the issue by the committee: through conciliation between the complainant and the respondent, which cannot be a financial settlement. Conciliation means settlement should be there, compromise should be there, but it should not be financial in nature. Committees could initiate an inquiry, taking appropriate action based on what it finds. So, this can happen. Now, what are the duties of the employer? Employer has to file an annual audit report with the POSH, with the district officer, about number of sexual harassment cases which emerged during the last year in the company. So this audit report should be there. An employer is duty bound to organize regular workshops and awareness programs to educate employees about the act and conduct orientation and programs for ICC members. If the employer fails to constitute an ICC or does not abide by any other provisions, they must pay a fine up to rupees 50,000, which increases for a repeat offence. So employer's duty is to file an annual audit report, to regular workshops and awareness to the employees that you have these kind of rights as per the law. And finally, if ICC is not formulated, then the employer will be punished. There will be financial penalties on the employer. So now coming on to the MCQs. Which of these countries do not share a shoreline with South China Sea? Philippines, Vietnam, Laos, Malaysia. Carefully answer. If you apply some common sense, you can get to the answer of this question easily. Second, consider the following statements and mark the correct one. The South China Sea carries more than half of the global traffic. India has invested in oil exploration in the South China Sea region. Which of these statements are true? Only one, only two, both one and two, neither one nor two. Third question, consider the following statements with respect to Justice Hema Committee and mark the correct one. It is with respect to the sexual harassment in Kerala film industry. The report was submitted by the committee in 2020. So which of these statements are correct about this? Fourth, who heads the local committee in the district to investigate into the cases of sexual harassment at workplace for persons working in the informal sector? The district judge, the superintendent of police, a woman judge in the district court, or the district magistrate? And last is, which of the following statements are correct about the POSH Act? POSH Act means Sexual Harassment, Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act. An internal complaints committee should be formed in every organization in the formal sector. Minimum half members of ICC should be from the outside of the company. And employer is duty bound to provide training to the employees. Only one and two, only one and three, or all of the above. So carefully answer all these questions and submit your answers in the comment section. Now coming on to the MCQs of 22nd August. Which of the following ministers participate in 2+2 dialogue? This was extremely very simple question. That is Defense Minister and EAMs, that is External Affairs Ministers. This is what the correct answer to this question looks like. So C is the correct answer. Second, which of the following country India has a 2+2 ministerial dialogue? The 2+2 ministerial dialogue, a very simple way to memorize this is all the Quad countries, means Australia, we have USA, Japan, and Russia. These are members of Quad. Obviously, the fourth member of Quad is India. So India is having already do 2+2 with them. So these are the four countries with which we have a 2+2 ministerial dialogue, and with UK we have 2+2 official level dialogue. So Australia, yes. France, no. UK, no. With UK we don't have a ministerial level dialogue. We have an official, government official level dialogue. So only one is going to be the correct answer to this particular question. Consider the following statements and mark the correct one. Quad was conceptualized in the aftermath of tsunami of 2004. Yes, the idea of Quad was mooted by Japan, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, for the very first time in 2007. So 2 is wrong. So only 1 is going to be the correct answer to this question. Fourth question, consider the following statements with respect to India-Malaysia ties and mark the correct one. Diplomatic ties between them were established in 1962. It was established in 1957. So this statement is wrong. Both share a comprehensive strategic partnership now. Yes, with this visit only, this comprehensive strategic partnership was announced. And the last question, which year is designated as Visit Malaysia Year by India? It is 2026, to be very, I would say, clear. So C is going to be the correct answer to this question. It is basically meant to boost tourism from India into Malaysia. Now, with this, we've come to an end of today's session. I will be meeting you tomorrow now with more such informative news pieces. Till then, you guys very well know what to do. Keep studying, keep reading, keep writing, and most importantly, keep revising. Keep watching the videos, keep attempting the questions, and keep in touch with these videos. Bye bye, take care, namaste, Jai Hind.